Mr. Gingrich, we read that apparently you told Reuters that you had talked to the president while looking at the decorations. Your ideas about who the chief of staff should be to replace John F. Kelly. Are you being considered?
No, it's actually funny. As you point out, Callista and I went to the White House yesterday to see the decorations. We wanted to see what Melania had done. I think the White House is always beautiful at Christmas time. There was a terrific high school choir from New Jersey that was singing, and we were having a great time, and several reporters saw me and saw Callista, and that promptly jumped to, oh, are you being interviewed? No, I was actually just wandering around looking at decorations.
So you're not chief of staff
Christmas
candidate, you're a tourist.
I was there as an American citizen looking at one of the most famous of American buildings.
So give me an idea. You know the president, you know the job. You know what he's up against with a divided government. Does a Dave Bossie seem like somebody that you could get behind if the president asked you that you would support?
Look, I'm going to be for whoever the president picks. He's got to weigh a lot of different things in that. He needs somebody who can help him win the election in 2020. He also needs somebody, frankly, who can just run the building and run the executive branch as his agent. I think that's one of the things that John Kelly did that was really remarkable. And General Kelly had the instinct for running a big organization. I don't think you can ever impose order on Donald Trump. He is a unique entrepreneurial personality. As General Kelly used to say, he was chief of staff, not chief of president. And I think that's a pretty good way to think of it. I hope the president does as good a job picking a chief of staff as he did with the Attorney General. Bill Barr is a remarkable choice to be Attorney General, and I think an absolute bases-loaded home run. So I would hope that he's going to look carefully.
Well, do you
think
have a name?
The stronger the person.
Dude, you know everybody. Do you know?
Well, I may have several names, but I'm going to tell the president. I'm not going to tell you.
Why not?
You know, and I'm for whoever he picks. But here's what I think is the major thing to look for. He needs somebody strong enough to say no. This is a very strong-willed personality. He will run over a weaker person, and they will rapidly lose control of the building. So he's got to have somebody. Again, General Kelly was terrific because he's a 4-star Marine, and they're pretty tough. They're pretty unflinching. I have no chief of staff is going to dominate President Trump, but he needs a chief of staff strong enough to look him in the eye and say, that's not a very good idea. And I hope he will pick somebody who's that strong.
All right, let's talk about Michael Cohen. Yesterday, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Federal judge here in New York sentenced him to 3 years. What's the takeaway there?
Well, my newsletter today, which will be at foxnews.com, I think, by about noon today, is just pretty straightforward. They ought to release the 70 hours of tape of their interviews with Cohen. I mean, they've been using very strange prosecutorial tactics. They've got 2 different people in solitary confinement, basically saying, you know, you get to come out of solitary when you tell us the story we like. They listened to Cohen for 70 hours. I'd like to know what they said to him. I'd like to know how many different stories he told until we finally got to the one that Mueller liked. And I think that we have to really be careful here. Prosecutors, as Sidney Powell pointed out in her book, License to Lie, which is a study of prosecutorial misbehavior in the Justice Department, you know, prosecutors have enormous power. And they can brutalize and demonize a person until they get the result. I think with General Flynn, frankly, they threatened to put his son in jail unless he went along. Wow. I think this is very un-American behavior. I don't think you put people in solitary confinement until they tell you what you want to hear. But we've been drifting towards this kind of prosecutorial behavior. So I have a simple test for them. Release the 70 hours of tape of Cohen's interviews. Right. Let the country judge which story was really true and what you did to get him to say something.
Right. So let's talk about what's the other big battle that we saw in the Oval Office. I know you've seen a lot of things, but to see that on national television, a pool spray turned into a brawl with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, and they still have not made eye contact. We're still checking with that. But real quick, the president wants $5 billion for the wall. They only want to give $1.3, and the president says, blame the shutdown on me. I know you don't want to tell the president everything you told him, but where's the way out here?
Well, I think it depends on how tough he is and how tough they are. Look, I think if the president is prepared, and you have to remember, his base, the vast majority of people who voted for him are worried about MS-13. They're worried about people crossing the border illegally. They're worried about caravans coming north. They want to see the wall built. And they will support a president who is tough enough to take on the Congress. He's laying down a marker. He's saying, this is a two-way street. I can veto stuff. I have real power, too, so don't let it go to Speaker Pelosi's head that she now controls the House. And, of course, Schumer can play the game with 60 votes, but Schumer lost ground in this last election and is weaker than he was going in. And I think Trump is just saying, I'm not going to let you, you're not going to intimidate me. And they, of course, are both saying, well, you're not going to intimidate us either. So it'll be fascinating to watch the next few weeks.
Well, Congress has taken off for 5 days starting today. They've got the meters running. They better hurry. Newt, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if Newt, if we had to, we would outbid the presidents for your services. So it would become a bidding war. We would not let you
there you go.
Okay?
Well, and frankly, as long as I get a happy cookbook and other good things from you guys, and I get another histoy book,
you know what?
I feel really, really excited.
Newt, I will
your
send
service
one
to
your way.
President.
It's a
You don't want a
perfect
children's
Christmas
book?
gift.
Come on. A faith-based book?
All right.
There we go.